Hello tanks and tankettes, welcome to a bit of live gameplay, and today, inspired by a comment from Caption Guy in the last tanks video, the supporter replay video, I have decided to take out the doghouse for one last spin because it is being removed with 9.10 when the ARL goes to HD. They're going to introduce a new, slightly more sensible looking stock turret, and that probably will be a welcome thing for most ARL drivers, but on the other hand, I am going to miss this weird looking metal shed. So, I've loaded up the best gun that you can use, which is the DCA-30, the BDR's gun. There's also the stock gun, which is technically the, well, it is the stock gun, although if you get the BDR, you'll have unlocked that, but the 76mm, the M1A1, which I don't know why you'd use that, but it's there. But no, we're going to use the DCA-30, and we're going to shamelessly spam all of the APCR, which has, I think, 175 average pen. There we go. And it was either 170 or 175. So it's not like it's OP penetration, and the turret is certainly not OP at all. It is, in fact, ridiculous. So, as ever, when I do these live, I have no idea when how it's going to go. It could be great, it could be a beautiful disaster, or it could just be plain boring. Although, if it's really boring, I tend to just do it again. And you'll notice, actually, I got my daily already in this thing. This is actually my second attempt at recording, although it is for technical reasons this time round, because occasionally Bandicam derps out. It's not usually an issue, but just occasionally it does. And also, I've noticed actually since switching to Windows 10, and it wasn't the issue this time, but Audacity, which has been incredibly reliable in all the time I've been using it, it has picked up the entirely nasty habit of dropping out a couple of seconds of the audio recording, and I don't know why. And there's no way to permanently increase the process priority, so every time I boot up Audacity to do a recording, I have to go to the task manager. I then have to set the task process priority manually, and then hope that it doesn't derp out, because sometimes, even with a higher process priority than normal, it still does, which is incredibly annoying. You might have noticed, maybe noticed, in a couple of recent videos, I've had to do drop-ins, inserts, that I've tried to make as natural sounding as possible, but it's basically because Audacity has eaten anything up to 10 seconds of the audio track. It just derps it right out, and I don't know why. But it means that I have to then go back and re-record a section of audio, or else make a natural sounding edit, which isn't always possible. So hopefully that doesn't happen this time. It does seem to be more of an issue on longer recordings, and in fact with the Turpits video, where I basically did all the replays, I sat down and did that in one 35-minute go, in one take, and I was quite pleased with it. And then I discovered right near the end it clipped out about 8 seconds or so, so I had to do an audio insert drop-in. And hopefully it wasn't noticeable, hopefully you don't know exactly where that was, but on the other hand you might have spotted exactly where that was, so yes. So if you hear weird little things like that in my videos from now on, it's because Audacity is derping out and I've not been able to find a really good free alternative, although there possibly is one. Bandicam itself does actually, when you're recording video live like this, you can do essentially 2 audio tracks. But the thing is, when you're recording to an MPEG-4 container output, well, you'll have seen that in some of my previous videos where I was using the second audio track, and it actually did some very weird stuttering in places, and it seems to be on loading screens particularly, it stutters the audio. So that's why I've continued using Audacity alongside Bandicam's own audio recording function. I still have it record the audio in Bandicam just as a backup, and just in case I need to fine-tune the audio sync up, because obviously you've got to synchronize the microphone input with what's happening on the screen. And my word, it took me a long time to figure that out when I was first doing videos. But yes, it can be a bit of a pain. So we have a bunch of our tier 7s, well, all of our tier 7s in fact, camping at the back, whereas their tier 7s are not. This might be a rather short, nasty engagement. I mean, the IS alone is going to be a bit unpleasant to deal with. They are at least, I mean, the T-29 is pushing across the field, but our IS is not. He's just Kimp Bush back at base, which is not really what we want to see in any way, shape or form, so that's always nice. And this is both their tier 7 heavies here. That's the Tiger B, so that's going to be potentially very nasty. So yes, you can only, in some situations, do as well as your top tiers, and in this case, our top tiers are nowhere near their top tiers, so we're having to take up the slack. And one of the multitudinous disadvantages of facing higher tiers in this game is you have less hit points than they do, so even if they are that went nowhere close. Even if they're being incautious or whatever, it can be a pain because you are just at an innate disadvantage in terms of hit points and usually firepower as well, and view range and hitting power and so on and so forth. However, if you have an enemy top tier heavy who is firing nothing but HE shells, well, that does tend to even the playing field somewhat. Now, that was probably, well, I'm not convinced the regular AP shells would have done the job there, but that was almost certainly because I'm actually on the regular AP shells. Why am I on the AP shells? I'm meant to be firing APCR. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that would have just not had sufficient pen. I was going to say, oh, APCR shells, it's the normalization, but no, it was not that at all. It was just I didn't have sufficient pen. So the M6 is in a bit of a bad way. I guess we take out the T-43 first. I love that our IS is still just sitting at base, doing precisely nothing. That is in fact amazing. Oh. Keep the turret angled, it doesn't matter. Right, he's going to be able to out-reload me, probably. Oh, hello. You shot the hull. You really didn't want to do that, mate. You really didn't. Whoop. But this is a case where it's just rate of fire versus rate of fire. Who's got the bigger hit points pool? And in this case, the reload on this gun was actually okay enough for me to get away with that. However, even with HE shells, I probably want to be a bit careful here, don't I? And there's also a 12T coming up the hill. Please still be firing HE. Plus, no, he wasn't. Meanwhile, our IS is still sitting at base. I mean, I don't like to pick on individual players, it's just sometimes you see someone doing something so absolutely the wrong thing to do with no conception of how the game works, how the game is meant to be played, and yet this is a tier 7 tank. You have to do at least a little bit of work to get a tier 7 tank, so, you know, there's that. Yeah. We'll see if he's actually there, or if he's just... I mean, the way he's sitting, swinging his gun around makes me think this is an actual player. Oh, he's hit something! Well, you know, he's going to be in an IS-7 someday, you guys. He is, and he's going to be so proud when he's in his IS-7. He's going to be so proud, and everyone else is just going to be facepalming so hard. At least the T-29 was doing something. He was using the fact he was a top-tier heavy to push, and he actually led a rather nice push round the south. That IS, meanwhile, what do you want to bet he is near or at the bottom of the team? Let's look at the scores and find out. So yeah, I meant to shamelessly spam APCR in that one and ended up firing a bunch of AP. I'm actually going to swap the ammo around. I almost said swip the ammo around, but that's not a thing. So I actually hit most of the shots, but didn't get all of them. Top place, our friend in the IS, who was literally just sitting back and camping. Yeah, damage from a distance of more than 300 meters. Oh, I mean, I could look up his stats, but that's let's not be mean about it, you know. He was not playing well. It was very obvious he was not playing well, so that's all that needs to be said. Don't do what that IS was doing. Don't be in that position on the team list in your brawling heavy tank and sit and snipe, because that's the kind of result you'll get, and you'll get people like me on YouTube making extremely sarcastic comments about you. And obviously there's no fate worse than that, is there, having sarcastic comments made about you on YouTube. I mean, that's just the worst. Literally the worst. Anyway, better matchmaking this time. Much better matchmaking, in fact. Although I am the only heavy on this team. And that might actually be a problem, because when this thing has to be a frontline heavy, it doesn't tend to do that well. Even when you're not being stupid on purpose and using the ridiculous doghouse turret. So I'm going to have to be a little bit circumspect in this one, but it means the matchmaking means I won't maybe have to spam APCR totally in this. We'll see. So let's give this a go. I actually might go down to the... Well, actually, no, having said J4, J5, or having thought J4, J5, I don't think I will. Although if I went into J5, that would be a bit of a problem for all concerned. I mean, the enemy team wouldn't complain, but I might look a bit foolish. But if the M6 and the T150 are going to be there, I'd have to have a lot of backup, basically. This does not have the armour for facing off against top tiers directly. And I have to say, the French heavies, just all the way up the line, that is not their playstyle at all. If you're playing in French heavies and looking to face off head-to-head against other heavy tanks, you're probably not going to have a very good time of it. It's actually more comfortable often in things like... I don't know, the MX M4 for instance, to not be top tier, because if you're a top tier heavy tank, if you've got this kind of matchmaking where there's only one or two heavies per side, the expectation is, well, you're a top tier heavy, you should go here, you should do this. But they're really not built to do that. They don't have the armour. Okay, the KV-1 and the T1 are actually going down there, so I'm going to go down there as well. Between the three of us, that ought to be enough firepower. And the ARL, well, one of the problems this has never had is the mobility. It's actually a rather nicely mobile heavy tank. So let's see what we encounter down here. And hopefully we don't get shot in the butt a bunch of times, which is always nasty. Oh, hello, that's an ELC. Might go shot into him. APCR is utterly unnecessary here, but it's what I've got loaded, and so... Ooh. Yep, I just bounced that on an ELC. Just French scout things, you know. But it's always the way with the ELCs, isn't it? Or just French scouts generally. You think, oh, I've got this, you know, I'll pen that, no problem. That'll be fine. And then it bounces. I don't know. I swear the best armour French scouts has is on their tracks, and the number of ridiculous times... Oh, hello, they're both here. The number of ridiculous shots that get eaten by things like tracks. But on the other hand, when you're actually playing something like an ELC, it can be utterly hilarious. I have to be a bit snapshotty here. Ooh, and try not to take too much damage. Oh, angle into T150 might be a problem. Whoop, bounce from the M6, which means he probably doesn't have his top gun. But that T150's armour is going to be a bit tough. I've also got people coming in from behind. The team has largely collapsed, so that's fun. Right, so that one actually hit. What is coming in? KV-1, SU-85. I mean, individually, not that much of a threat, but by sheer weight and numbers, this is problematic, shall we say. Ooh, if I can do damage to... Well, I don't think any damage I do at this point is going to matter. We are going to lose this. Unless we manage some kind of miracle defense. Well, I can at least boot that ELC in the face. There we go. We may just have had one or two many tank destroyers at the top tiers, which meant they were all, you know, around here, and we didn't have the firepower where we needed it. So the matchmaking may have been weighted a bit against us in this one. And that isn't necessarily, you know, it doesn't always matter. Player skill still has a very big effect on that, but in this particular instance, Well, actually, it's fairly even. It's just everyone here's on the back foot. At least everyone down here. I mean, they might actually hold it. They might actually be able to defend. That Dickomax, though, he's been kicking butt. 5 kills. Well, it's got a pretty nice gun, I will say. And it's got pretty nice mobility. It's just, you know, not much in the way of armour. So if the people in the north would get off the butts and clear out that area. I mean, the Firefly's pretty low health, but they have got the weight of numbers. But they need to actually work together and use those numbers, which would require teamwork, and this is World of Tanks, so, you know, anything can happen. Yeah, we are actually winning this. I mean, I went down swinging, and I think killing that ELC was probably useful. So I've done enough here. Wow, my voice just went there. I've done enough here. I've done my part. Sometimes it's not very satisfying to have done your part, but anyway. Considering I was the only top tier heavy on our team, I think I managed to punish the enemy top tier heavies reasonably well. And I took 2 down with me, so that's alright. Now, I probably didn't make a lot of profit in that one. In fact, no, I lost 20,000 credits, but we're doing this for the lulz and top of the team. There we go. That was a very cheap 5 kills indeed. Okay. I semi-retract my statement about he did very well. He did very well in getting kills, not so much in doing damage, though. Yes. ELC. Very good matchmaking for an ELC, but even so, with his rate of fire, the fact that he was third place in damage on the team, that KV1 did pretty well. The rest of the tier 6s, yeah, I am not going to be particularly complimenting their performance. Anyway, the enemy team really didn't do that much either, so that's where we won in the end, was the fact that we were doing more damage than them. And it stacked up that that counted more in the end. Sometimes it seems like the enemy team isn't doing as much damage, but you lose anyway, but in which case it's just the damage is spread around more. Anyway, so there we go. Doghouse, we are going to miss you, or at least I'm going to miss you, because you look ridiculous. And we're probably never going to see the proper tank this is from, the FCM F1, in World of Tanks. But it would be hilarious to see it in War Thunder, where you could actually use all of the turrets. It's just, I have a feeling that if we ever see French tanks in War Thunder, it's probably going to be a very long time from now. So, I don't know, we'll see, maybe. It could be hilarious to see the FCM, but I'm not going to hold my hopes up. So if you enjoyed this bit of live gameplay, this eulogy to the doghouse, such as it was, you can leave any comments below, you can hit the like button, you can subscribe to my channel, and as always, stay tuned for more.